Hello everyone, Z808 here, and welcome to another episode of my How to Build Heroes guides. While Bernhardt, aka Old Man Bern, has been around since the beginning of the game, the Empire faction has not been in the meta for a number of seasons. However, with the upcoming new 3C for Bernie, Season 7 is going to feel the wrath of the Empire. As always, this guide will follow these 4 topics. First, we'll look at the role this hero will have in PvP and or PvE if any. Second, we'll look at the hero's talent and recommended skill set for the role mentioned. Third, we'll be looking at the recommended gears, enchants, mastery enchants, and soldiers. Finally, the 4th topic will look at some examples with game footage if possible. So for Old Man Bern's new role, with his new 3C, he can be a very strong physical tank. However, my recommendation is to use him as a support assault unit instead. The support part is obvious. His new faction buff will allow anyone entering battle to do an additional 18% damage instead of 15%, and there is no limitation like before. His talent has not really changed in that he has an aura that reduces attack and defense of any opponent within 2 blocks. If you have his exclusive, the command aura extends it to 3 blocks, and that is huge. Just having Bernie around your tank will significantly reduce the kill potential of your opponent's physical attackers. This makes him super strong during late game, where everyone is clumped up together in the middle of the map. The assault portion I'm referring to is basically taking advantage of his new 3C skill and be able to one-shot anything that is not a tank. That is correct. No joke. This includes SP Elwen and even a few tanky units like Reen on steroids. So the question is that really possible? We can analyze it together in the following parts, and we can start with his talent. So part 2, Lord's Will. When entering battle, damage dealt plus 20%. All enemy units within 2 blocks suffers minus 15% attack and defense. And since this is an aura, it can be stacked with other debuffs. Now next, we'll look at his 3C Iron-Blooded Ambition. And it's estimated to be released in the global on June 3rd, 2021. It's roughly, almost 2 months away still yet, way too far. And for the passive component of it, after attacking with a normal attack, not with the skill but only normal attack, it deals a 0.1 AoE damage to enemies within 1 ring. This effect can only occur once every 3 turns. If not, it will literally be too overpower. Just to say it again, it is an extra AoE damage after your normal attack, and it can also trigger the Rupture passive. That's really amazing. Now, the active part gets even crazier. It has a standard faction buff that gives extra stats plus when entering battle, damage dealt is increased by 18%. Furthermore, the 3C gives Bern himself the following extra quirks. Movement plus 1, damage dealt plus 15%, and yes, this stacks with his talent and his normal faction buff of 18% increase. Sword Dance span plus 1, shield bash range plus 1, or if he's using Iron Fist skill, physical damage taken is minus 25%. Also gains Hegemony skill. And Blooded Ambition cannot be immunized or dispel. So this is literally putting like, I don't know, 4 skills into 1. Someone must have been smoking when creating this 3C fourth tier. I don't know what the heck they were thinking, but OPPP to the max. Alright, Next, we're gonna look at some of his recommended skills. I have it here. Let me see here. Well, I don't have it here, but this right now is a faction buff will be replaced by his 3C. Then you'll have the passive Rupture, and for the third skill, you can either use Sword Dance or Shield Bash. Right now, I have it on Shield Bash, or you can use Sword Dance as the third skill. Really depends if you are wanting to use it as a single target or for a AoE disrupt. And of course, we will not look at the Iron Fist as this guide is focusing on his assault build. And for his class, the recommended class is Emperor. And Emperor does have higher attack. And in addition, if you look at the bonds, excuse me here. Let's go look at Bernhardt. If you look at his heart bond, it is actually when he is an Emperor, AoE damage dealt is increased by 10%. So this complements really well with his Sword Dance skill. And as for gear wise, this is what I recommend. For weapon, Mjolnir, and the reason for Mjolnir is that when attacking, there is a 100% chance to dispel one buff from the enemy. So this is very crucial because you can actually remove buffs as Gospel, Range Guard, or even defense buffs. And it goes perfectly with his Hegemony skill, which is included in his 3C. And if you think about it, if you look at the comparison with a normal sword, the sword base attack is a little higher. However, this particular weapon gives you an attack increase of 10% when you go into the actual battle. Overall, this overall stat is about the same as if you are using another sword, for example. And of course, if you this particular weapon is recommended for when you're going with the single auto attack build. However, if you're looking for the AoE route, I would recommend a balanced blade so that you can have a 3-ring instead of 2. And for his armor, exclusive is a no-brainer. His hero talent span +1 really makes it worthwhile. Trust me on that one. For the helmet, there can be a couple options, but for me, I went with carbon fiber helm. It does have higher. It does give you defense and magic defense by 8% when you're above 50%, and when you go below 50%, your attack and skill goes up by 8%. So, overall, it's one of the only helm that adds attack to as a helm. So that's another reason why I recommend it. And alternatively, you can use Furious Tears if you are planning to use Sword Dance a lot instead. But for the single target auto attack build, carbon fiber I would recommend it over that. And for the accessories, Apex boots is the recommended one. You do get a +1 mobility, and if you think about it, the 3C skill also give you +1. So even though Bernhardt is a infantry unit, you get 3 base +1 from 3C, another 1 from Apex boots, and becomes basically a 5 movement unit. That's crazy. And right now I am using the breeze enchant. If you breeze, you're moving 7, almost non-restrictive movement. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Other recommendations are Wing Shin Guard to make him a little bit tankier, or Overlord badge also works, and it will allow him to not get his attack decrease. And if all of you have been paying attention so far, you probably noticed I get some quite decent enchant. I didn't max the weapon. It is only 14%, but the rest of them is pretty good. 4% plus 7, that's a little bit over 5. 5% plus 10, that's almost 7. And then for the accessory is 9% plus 12, that's almost 11%. So I believe all in all, I have roughly about 36.5-ish% increase in attack with a green of 470. Pretty decent indeed. And again, for enchant, I do recommend Breeze if you're going for the single target attack, and if you're going for the AoE route, then definitely go for Clock, because Sword Dance Clock will destroy people, destroy teams. Now for the Mastery enchant, I always recommend going basically with HP, attack, and defense. And for the Arena Mastery enchant, it should be attack, defense, and HP. I have, however, my O enchant, which is the minus crit chance and crit damage. However, if you're going purely for for the optimal maximum kill potential, it should be the other way around. It should be plus crit chance and plus crit damage. I'm most likely going to reroll this as we get a little closer to with the release of 3C. And for soldiers, the most commonly used for him once the 3C comes out is the Steelmane Werewolves. They hit super hard. For every time you enter battle and exit, you get a free heal, and they are very, very tanky. However, if you're planning to one-shot SP Elwyn, then most likely what I recommend is the new Lancer Hoplite. And this will allow him to attack with no advantage or disadvantage. And since Bernhardt is sword and SP Elwyn is horse, by using Hoplite you will be able to ignore the disadvantage and do full attack. So, going back to my original question, how is it possible his auto attack can kill someone like SP Elwyn, possibly with Swordsmith Metal and maybe even around 800 plus 900 defense? That's pretty, normally I would say unreasonable, but not quite. So let's look at the math, and maybe it will make it a little bit more clear. So with his new 3C, this is what his kill potential will look like. You get plus 20% damage increase from his talent, plus 18% from his new faction buff, which you do not need to have class advantage, and it is just a flat 18% when entering battle. You get another 15% from his new innate Iron-Blooded Ambition buff from his 3C, and then you get plus 10% from the Breeze enchant, basically adding salt to the wound. Then of course, from his talent you get minus 15% defense on the opponent, and the Hegemony skill will also reduce defense by 20%, which they stack, so that's 35%. In addition, there's 2 chance to dispel and remove an opponent's defense buff. You also get a follow-up AoE attack if you do a normal attack from the 3C. So if and plus, if your opponent does not have fixed damage immunity, it is possible to do times 2 attack stat with Rupture twice. So basically, with around, let's say, 1,400 attack, you multiply that by 4 times because you get 2 Ruptures. That's technically 5,600 raw damage to the hero, and that is totally insane. So in summary, even just doing a regular attack, you get plus 63% damage and a possible minus 35% defense on the opponent. And if using Hoplite, there's no advantage or disadvantages. And that's not to say if you give, let's just say, more buffs, right? Like the crown, you get another 20%. If you use Miracle, it could be 15%, or if you use Attack Blessing, that's 30%. So there's nothing stopping you from stacking more and more damage. But just by himself, he is able to do this. So roughly, by himself, assuming your soldiers have 70% attack training, you should be easily do about 30k damage with the normal auto attack. And if they don't have fixed immunity, you are going to be doing about 40k easy. And trust me on this one, you're going to one-shot pretty much anything that is not a tank. Crazy stuff, I tell you. Unfortunately, right now, the 3C is not out in global, and I don't have any Chinese account with the right, right stats, so I won't be able to show you that for part 4. But however, once the 3C do come out in June, I'll be happy to show you a couple example of what he can actually do with the stats that I have shown you a little earlier. Roughly, I believe with this right here in PvP mode, I had roughly about 1,430-ish attack, and that's extremely high for a Bernhardt. But I definitely do want to show something at least today. And let me just show you how to use this little technique. And I'm sure most of you have are already aware of it. Let me see if I can find it here. I call it hide and seek. So right now, everyone knows that Himiko has just came out and she's pretty OPP. The reason why we say Himiko is OP is that she can literally jump in round 1 or round 2, AoE your whole team, and if you try to attack her, she just if you try to single attack her, she just goes back and ignore the attack completely and goes back to her team. So not only is she very annoying, she's very difficult to deal with. However, with Bernhardt, you are able to do something special by using, let me see if I can find it here. I think it's almost here. Almost to the end. I think this is it. So this is toward the end of the game. I mean, I'm pretty sure I had the game won. But basically, she still has ability to run away. So if someone try to single target attack her, Himiko will basically stop the attack as nothing happened, and she will warp and teleport to the nearest ally. However, with Bernhardt, he does have what we call Shield Bash, and with Shield Bash, it actually before entering battle stuns the enemy for 1 turn. So by using Shield Bash, you're able to stun Himiko, not allow her to teleport and kill her off, and that is a super big counter for Himiko when as annoying as she can be. And if you think about it, there's really not that many heroes that can do Shield Bash. The only one that I can think of from the top of my head is Bernhardt and then Albedo. There's also Savage Attack from Betty, for example, but those you need to be on a defensive unit, so it's not 100% guaranteed. So Bernhardt really shines when you need to take care of Himiko. And that's really it from me today as far as the recommendation for the build. I think once 3C actually comes out, it would make a lot more sense when I am able to show you a couple examples of using this particular gear set enchant combination, with these type of stats on what he can actually kill. And seeing is believing, so I'll let you be the judge of it when it comes out. But other than that, good luck with your Bernie. Not sure if you already have him at 6 stars or if you have been using him. If you know, it really depends, right? Season 7, it could be you're either using Bernie or you get burned. Well, thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Thank you again for your support, and looking forward to speaking and hang out with everyone on Discord in the near future. Take care and aloha.